Edward Laos. Welcome to Travel Talk, filmed at the Peachtree Rose Marketing Studios and hosted by the hotel guide publisher, Edward Laos.
Good afternoon, everybody. Edward Laos here, publisher of the Hotel Guide and your host of Travel Talk. Really excited about today's edition. I was actually referred Tess to me by a very mutual good friend of mine, and she's like, "You got to meet this person. You got to connect with this person." And so we had a call. I was excited to hear all the great things that she's doing, and to find out that we are in the same city is even better. So Tess, welcome to Travel Talk. Lovely to have you here.
Oh, I'm super excited to be here, Edward. Thanks so much for the invite.
Oh, it's going to be a fun one. You just got so much going on that I'm excited to share with our audience. But like I like to do with all of our guests, I always like to start, they got to know who you are. So tell us a little bit about how you got to where you are, and then we'll talk about your business and some of your other stuff along the lines as well. So go from there, Tess.
Absolutely. So, hey guys, my name is Tess Millhollon. I am a published author and founder of Her House. So if you're not familiar with Her House, it is an app I developed for solo women travelers. It helps them connect with background checked female hosts all over the world. So it's really designed for a solo female traveler by a solo female traveler, because it came out of my own solo traveling and backpacking experiences.
Wow. So let's dive into that a little bit, because I think, obviously when you're creating a app that is of this magnitude and utilized, we'll talk about the logistics on how it's utilized worldwide and all that. But tell us a little bit about how that experience of you backpacking and doing it solo. First off, kudos to you, because I don't even know that I could do that going solo. Backpacking, much less just solo traveling. That's a whole nother level. But tell us a little bit about that story and how it kind of really got you to get this app going, and why you thought it was important.
Yes. So I did my solo backpacking experience out of college. So I was 25 when I got a working holiday visa in Australia. So I just spent 6 months overseas, and I traveled all over Australia with that. And it was just such an incredible experience for me. I definitely feel like it was one of those experiences that truly changed my life. Not only was it just good for me personally, it helped me grow in so many ways that no corporate job, no anything else, like staying in my normal life, could have given me this type of growth internally. And so it was so good for me. I met tons of people while I was over there, of course, and I'm kind of like a natural networker. I really love meeting people. I love meeting locals and having local experiences while I'm traveling. And while I was over there, I was able to secure hosts, just all over the place, just by networking and stuff. And, I stayed with people. Some of them hosted me for 1 to 2 weeks at a time. They showed me around. They cooked me homemade Australian food, and showed me where they went to church and their favorite beach spots and where, their kids go to school. And I got to really be immersed in their day-to-day, which was a really amazing experience. And it also saved me a ton of money in the process, right? Because your accommodation is what's going to eat through your budget while you're traveling, even if you're staying in hostels, right? It's staying with a host is going to be so much better on your budget. So fast forward, I got back to the States and I was telling people what I did, and I stayed with all these locals and I had all these cool experiences, and they're like, whoa, wait a minute. Like, how did you do that? Like, how did you find these people? How did you know that they were safe? And I started realizing that this type of travel was easy for me, but it's actually not easy for a lot of other people. And I was like, man, wouldn't it be cool if there was an app that you could just get on it and find background checked women that are great, that you could just stay with for free? Like, wouldn't it be great to have that? Because I know that there are other platforms where there is like a home sharing type of experience where they stay with hosts for free. But there has been a lot of issues with safety, especially with women. And for women, safety is their number one concern, like specifically in their accommodation and where they're sleeping. So I really wanted to create something like that. so that these women could have safe hosts to connect with while they're abroad.
Yeah.
And the concept of creating software was really, really overwhelming for me. Like you don't know where to start,
Sure.
right? Like I have
Oh,
no
yeah,
idea
definitely.
where to start. Like I don't have funding. I don't have any money. Like I don't have any of that. So I actually went through a program called Apps Without Code with Tara Reid. Shout out to Tara. She's
Mhm.
amazing. And it taught me how to build apps without any coding. And I'm like, I didn't even know that this was available. So it was a huge learning curve. I built the MVP, or minimally viable product, in 2021, launched it in October of 21, and then it was approved in the app stores of February 2022. So we're still very young, but we're just getting the word out to try to build that host community and the membership in general.
Yeah, that's awesome. You got a lot of great things that's happened with your app, and I'm excited about where the future is going. So speaking of the future, what are some of your goals for the new year and what you want to kind of accomplish with the company?
Yes. So one of the things that we were able to do is rebuild the app. So,
Mm.
tech is constantly changing. And I ran into some big roadblocks in 2023 of the app was just starting to become obsolete already, like a year in. So I needed to get it rebuilt. So that has been done. So now it's in a much better place than it has been in the last year or so. And then another thing that I think is going to make this app very successful is a great host base. So we're really focused on getting the word out and sharing it so that hopefully hosts will continue to pop up and offer their spaces to connect with women who are traveling by themselves. And it's my vision that we'll have hosts in every city all over the world in years to come, so that it'll continue to serve women for a really, really long time. I think of, the girls in middle school, the girls who are even just being
Oh, yeah.
born now, like they'll be able to access a big community of background checked women all over the world in the future, like 10, 20 years from now, even. So I really have a long-term vision for this business.
Mhm.
It's not a rocket ship, it's something that's a slow burn that's continually starting to grow.
Yeah.
And I think that it will be really big and it'll be really valuable because we're helping make travel safer together, like as a community. And I think that's what's really beautiful about it.
No, I agree with that. I think that's one of the big things right there is that you're making things safer. And the amount of work that goes on the back end is just making people's experience on the front end even that much more better, period. Because, solo backpacking or solo traveling and that kind of stuff what you're doing is amazing. But experiential travel is one of the top things going in the trends for 2025. You're taking it to a whole nother level. And it's nice to have those apps and the safety ability that comes with it. So kudos to you on that for sure. Let's switch gears a little, as I like to with all my guests, and get to the personal side on travel, because I always ask this of all of my guests because everybody's in the travel business. And but what are some of your travel spots that you've just loved that you've been to so far?
Definitely. So one of my favorite places, I actually sailed up the east coast of Australia while I was backpacking. I wrote a whole book about it. I can share about that more in a
Yeah.
second. But while I was sailing, we ended up anchoring on a little island about 60 miles off the coast called Percy Island. And it was one of the most incredible places I've ever been to. There was wildlife on the island. There were people living on the island, just living like very simply, just like island living. There's no, I don't think they might have Wi-Fi, but they like, had their own, water and food supplies. And it was very simple way of living. And it was a really beautiful, and it was just a completely away from all society. It was a
Wow.
really cool thing to experience. There were butterflies everywhere. I wrote about it in my book. My book is called Sherbert Skies, and it's
Saw that.
about my whole experience of, I was yacht hopping while I was solo backpacking up the east coast of Australia. So that is available on Amazon as well, if your readers would like to hear about
Yeah,
that
definitely.
journey.
In our contact thing at the bottom, we'll put all of your links so that people can find out about that. Um, definitely, sounds like a beautiful place. What about bucket travel lists? What are some of your on your bucket travel list?
Yes. So one of my big bucket lists is to spend at least 4 to 6 weeks in New Zealand, get a camper van, and just travel the North and South Islands. And because we have a lot of her house hosts in New Zealand as well.
Mhm.
So, I know that I'll be able to connect with a lot of locals. Down in New Zealand, and it would just be a really incredible experience. That's one of my big bucket lists to do, to spend some time down there.
Oh, that sounds amazing. And I know when you do it, how you're keeping track of it, and the everything that's going to come out of it is going to be amazing, because those experiences really do matter. And you're tapping into something. It's funny because you're the first person out of all of my guests that I've had that has said that's their bucket list, which how you want to travel. So there's a uniqueness to what you're doing, which is great, and it combines that with the experience of travel. So we've got a few more minutes here, but touch on a little bit about your book, and then let's kind of wind it down with, hey, how can they find you, website, socials, and that kind of stuff, and go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So my book, it's a solo travel memoir called Sherbert Skies. And like I said, it's about my time yacht hopping. So I was living on yachts while I call it extreme hitchhiking. So
Yeah.
I was like living on a yacht for like a couple of weeks, and then I needed to get off that one. And then I hopped onto another one with a guy who ended up being a drug dealer. That's a whole crazy story in itself. He left me on an island. It was crazy. You'll have to go read it. And then I got on another one. So it was a crazy, beautiful experience. But it continued to show me how there's good people all over the world who
Mhm.
want to help each other. And I got to experience that firsthand. And it's also a love story because I was actually in a relationship with my boyfriend, who's now my husband. So it kind of tells that story. It's kind of a reverse Eat, Pray, Love, where I actually found my love while I was solo traveling, and I went back to be with him and to marry him. So it was a really cool experience. And I've had some people say that it's one of the best books they've ever read. So I think that it definitely needs to get out there more as well.
Definitely. Well, we'll market that as much as we can through the hotel guide. But what's the best way for people to find the company, the book, everything?
Yes. So to learn more about Her House, just go to herhouse.co, herhouse.co online. And then all of my socials are exactly the same. It's at herhouse.co on TikTok, on Instagram. And then I also have a Facebook group as well. So yeah, herhouse.co, and you'll find all my stuff there. And Sherbert Skies you can find on Amazon.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, definitely. Well, man, this has been a pleasure to have you on the podcast. I know now that you're here in San Antonio as well, there may be a live actual podcast that we'll probably do later on, especially with some of the travel that you have on tap. And you could actually be, for those of you who are listening and follow us on the hotel guide, Tess is going to have an article in our upcoming edition as well. So we're really excited about that too. So be on the lookout for that. Tess, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on Travel Talk today, and all the great things that you're doing with your app.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time, Edward. I love the hotel guide and excited to see where it goes from here.
Oh, perfect. To all of our readers, listeners, and followers, please continue to do that at thehotelguide.com. Also, we'll have the socials and website for Tess and her incredible company and book in the comments below. But as we always like to say, till next time, travel and make memories. And everyone, will talk soon. Take care.